So I want to introduce to you this morning where we're going. Some of you will be happy to know that I'm not going to preach, and but we're going to continue what we've been looking at for the last little bit, and that was we started Good Friday talking about how God, if there's not a crucifixion, there's not a resurrection, and how God has this amazing ability to bring beauty out of the ashes, turn a negative into a positive. He does it all day long, and we see it throughout Scripture. And one of the names that God is given is Redeemer, and he's able to redeem messes. He's able to redeem challenges. He's able to redeem trials. Basically, you need to be mindful of the fact that there's always hope. There is always hope if you know Jesus. And last week was Easter Sunday, and we celebrated the risen Christ, and we talked a little bit about this. And I hadn't planned this, but at the end, we had a little bit of time, and I opened things up for people to share. And a number of people have shared of how God brought a resurrection out of their crucifixion, how God brought beauty out of the ashes. And it spoke that part of the service, I believe, was the best part of the service. And that's what encouraged me, because it's through those testimonies and through those stories that we encourage one another. And we remind people of the fact that we serve a God that is alive and well, and who wants to do some incredible things in our life, even though we at times go through some incredible challenges. And so in light of that incredible challenges, Asha and Cindy were talking this week, and talked about it would be wonderful for Asha to share her story. And so Cindy had done some communicating with her, and I said to Cindy, probably the best thing to happen here would be for Cindy to interview Asha. And so first of all, I got a little bit of pushback from Cindy, but then she thought about it, was able to process it, and she was excited about doing that. And so Cindy's going to interview Asha this morning, and I want you to be mindful of the fact that this story is crazy good, in the sense that about 24 years ago, we moved here from Sudbury. Cindy was a nurse. She was a nurse in the hospital, and her nursing experience had been in the hospital, and she wanted to change. And so she got a job with the school board as a nurse. And one of the first classes and individuals that she worked with was Asha. And I'm not running for mayor. I'm not looking for votes. I'm not even looking for chocolate. But Cindy would often come home and say how wonderful this, at that time, this little young lady was. And so Asha and Cindy are going to, basically Asha's going to share her story, and Cindy's going to do an interview with her this morning. And I want you to see the pieces, look for the pieces, how God was at work here. And so 24 years ago, that happened. And then Cindy and Asha lost touch with one another. And this is one good thing, although there are many good things in regards to that have happened as a result of Facebook. And then there was a reconnection. And so I want you to see how God brings together the pieces, and how God can bring beauty out of the ashes, and how there is always hope. Cindy and Asha, take it away.
Thank you for that introduction. First of all, I wanted to say Asha is the most amazing person at inviting her friends and family to come to church. So this morning was no exception. And I said to our own kids, we need more Ashes at our church, because she sent me this big list of all the people she invited. And that's just amazing, Asha. You are wonderful that way. And I just want you to relax, pretend it's just you and I, Don't worry that there's a whole bunch of people on Zoom who are anxious to hear your story. Just pretend it's us. And we prayed before the service started and before you came on even that God would just calm any butterflies in your tummy and that you would be able to share freely how God has done amazing things in your life to bring hope. So welcome to your friends and family that are here and everybody that's on Zoom today. And we just appreciate you doing this, Asha.
No problem.
So
Good morning.
you and I started a conversation, I think it was on Monday this past week. And I just want you to share what it was that led you to want to share your story with your church family.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. What led me to wanting to share my story with, what led me to wanting to share my story was last Sunday, Pastor Terry asked if anyone wanted to share their story of faith. I wanted to, but I didn't want to take up, but I needed time to organize my thoughts, and I didn't want to take up too much time. So now I would like to share my story with you.
Okay. So what might be good, some folks know a little bit of your story, but maybe you could give us some background history of what happened to you as a young child and how that has changed your life.
Okay. My family lived out in Vancouver, BC when I got sick. On June 13th, 1995, 8 days after my 9th birthday, I was warming up for a gymnastics competition. I collapsed on the mat. My mom and my sister were with me. I was rushed to Lionsgate Hospital. En route to the hospital, the ambulance broke down, and the paramedics yelled, "We're losing her! We're losing her!" The second ambulance arrived. Fast forward, I was operated on for 9 hours. I had an AVM. I'm not sure how to say the long word. Arterious venous malformation. I'm not sure how to say that word. That burst in my brain, and another one was ready to burst. It's like a bubble that grows and grows until it pops in your brain. I was born with them. The doctors told my parents to say their goodbyes, as I would not make it through the night. I only had a 2% chance of surviving. My mom called our minister and some of her friends from our church. And they came in, they prayed. My mom told me later that 7 hours into my operation, a warm sensation went through her whole body. And mom knew God was sending her a message. Mom looked at Dad and she said, she's gonna make it. No, sorry, she's gonna be okay. She's gonna make it through this. I was transferred from Lionsgate Hospital to Children's Hospital, where I was in a coma for 3 weeks and underwent many more surgeries. When I woke up from my coma, I was unable to walk, talk, or move any of my limbs. I was transferred to Sunny Hill Rehabilitation Center. It took months and months of painful physiotherapy, occupational therapy, and speech therapy. Even after I left Sunny Hill, my therapies continued for many years, as did many more surgeries. In 1998, we moved to Ontario. My life has changed physically, mentally, and spiritually from being able-bodied to now not having the full use of all my limbs as well. It takes me time to organize my thoughts. Sometimes I do get frustrated and wish I was able to have use of my and wish I was able to have use of both my arms and my legs. How I get through my frustrations is by surrounding myself with God, my family, and my good friends. I have been so blessed in my life, even though I do have my moments. I realize how grateful I am to get another chance at life.
Thank you, Asha. That was very well said. And I learned some things listening to that. A lot of your story I know, but there's bits and pieces that you shared that I wasn't aware of. I didn't know that happened with your mom. And we're very pleased to have Asha's mom. If you see Karen Kellett on the screen there waving, that's Asha's mom. And I didn't realize that God had given her that assurance at the time that you were going through all of this, that everything was going to be okay. And that as parents, your mom and your dad, most of us can't imagine what that must have been like for them. But truly, God was with them and giving them that assurance that they needed, that their little girl was going to be okay.
Yeah.
And, so much has happened over the years. And one of those most amazing things was you meeting Alex. And
Yes.
maybe we'll take a wee break from what you've already shared for you to tell us how you and Alex met and when you got married. And all of us know that 3 very special little people have come since that time. So how did you and Alex meet and when did you get married?
Okay, so how I met Alex was through a dating site, like a dating website. We first met at Tim Hortons for coffee, and we have been together ever since. I blame Alex for my coffee addiction. We got married on November 5th, 2016. It was such a beautiful day. We got married outdoors at JW Marriott. We have 3 amazing children, the loves of our lives.
Thank you, Asha. Ironically, when Asha and I reconnected after many, many years of not really knowing where Asha was or what she was doing or what, we we found each other on Facebook, and
Yeah.
of course, and I have the email here, the text message here from Asha saying, I would love to get together with you for coffee. Can we meet at Tim's? So Asha, I
Coffee.
don't know if you blame Alex. I think it's you that has the Tim's addiction. So, and if you notice, once in a while, Asha's got that cup beside her. She's having a sip of Tim Hortons as we meet. So anyways, it was one very special day. So Asha and I reconnected at the end of 2017.
Wow.
Yeah, and you said to me, can we meet at a Tim Hortons? And we did at the end of 2017, and I got to meet Alexa for the first time. And she was just
such a baby.
Yeah, she was just a wee baby.
Yeah.
And then when I go on through the messages, it took me until March. So we met in December. It took me until March to say to Asha, hold on, bear with me here. In March, I said to Asha, I keep meaning to ask you if you would like to come to our church sometime for a visit.
Yes.
And Asha said right away, hi, Cindy, that is so nice. We can come on Sunday. Thank you so much. Can we bring Alexa with us? And of course, you know my answer to that one.
Yes.
So anyways, Asha, we are just so thrilled that you're part of our new Hope family. So at what point in your life did you realize that God had big plans for you, plans for a future and a hope? And despite that all you had been through, that God had plans for you?
Okay. I realized God had big plans for me when I attended for many years Mount Forest Christian Bible Camp with my best friend Leanne. That is when I committed my life to Jesus. I would pray for God's help, and my prayers were answered. Not right away, but they did get answered. When you have a disability, things don't always come easy, and it takes you longer to reach your goals. But with a lot of determination, faith, and God's grace, all things are possible.
That's amazing. And just a little side note, that best friend of Asha's, Leanne, she was also in the class at the school where I was working with Asha. And it was, so we're so glad you're here, Leanne. And many, many years after I had met Asha and Leanne, I happened to run into Leanne. And maybe you remember this, Leanne. It was at the mall at the Newmarket prayer breakfast. And I had to look twice because it had been years. And I think of these gals as little girls, but Leanne was a beautiful young woman, married and children of her own when I met her in the mall. And I said, hey, what's going on with Asha? And we chatted about that a little bit. So Asha, never underestimate the sphere of the influence that you can have in the lives of other people. And you and Leanne are a great duo. And I think you already answered this question about when you made a decision to follow Jesus and how that has changed your outlook on life. Is there anything else you wanted to share about that? Or are you ready? Okay.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I made a decision to follow Jesus when I attended Mount Forest Camp. That is when I realized with God in my life, I felt complete. My physical disabilities are only on the outside of my body. My faith is what counts, and that's on the inside of, and that's on the inside.
Okay, beautifully said. Asha, how did you end up coming to New Hope, and what is your favorite thing about being part of a church family?
Okay, this answer goes way back to elementary school. I had Cindy as my educational assistant in grades 7 and 8. At that time, I called Cindy Mrs. G way back in the day.
Yeah.
Years later, after being married and having a child, I Facebooked Cindy and we met at Tim Hortons.
There you go.
Then Cindy asked me to come to church, and so my family and I did. I am so grateful to Cindy and Pastor Terry for inviting me and my family to be part of this church family. There are many things that I love being involved with New Hope. At New Hope. It is an extended part of our family. You are seeing all my children grow up. Are seeing my children growing up, and I love that. I love the people at New Hope, and I love the feeling of belonging to a very special group of people that doesn't judge and accepts everyone. I feel very blessed and God's presence in the church. And on Zoom when Pastor Terry is preaching, I truly feel joy and happiness when I'm at church. And on Zoom.
Thank you, Asha. And one little side note there, something that's been special for me before the lockdown, before the pandemic happened, we started a group of young moms, and
Yes.
Asha was part of that group, and that just was a special thing for me to be a part of with you young ladies and young moms. And so that was just another thing as you were talking that has also been special to have you a part of. And I'm glad for the relationship that you ladies have formed, and the support and friendship, and that you are able to offer to one another. And I think that makes God smile to see that happening. So what advice, Asha, do you have for people, and maybe more so in the world right now than ever? There are people who feel that their life is meaningless and they have no hope. What advice, coming from the voice of experience, do you have for those people?
Okay. The advice I would give people is to always remember that you are never alone. God is always with you. God will never leave you or forsake you. And don't be afraid to reach out to a church and become part of a family.
Thank you, Asha. Beautifully said. And that wraps up our interview question.
Okay. My name, Asha, means hope.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
And so it was meant to be that I belong to New Hope Church.
Yes. And what a perfect name your mom and dad chose for you.
Yes.
That's wonderful, Asha.
Thank
So
you.
go ahead.
Thank you so much for letting me say my story on church, at church.
You're very welcome. We appreciate it more than you can imagine. And this is a situation where Asha listened to that still small voice in her heart that was saying, I want to share my story. And was it because it's all about you, or no, it was because you wanted to tell other people that there is hope and that God has a difference in your life. And when you look at all the pieces of your life, the pieces of that puzzle, and to see how God has brought things together, it's an incredible thing. And the thanks and the glory goes to God, but you're allowing him to use you, and your life is an inspiration to many. So thank you, Asha, for sharing. Thank you for the folks that shared last week, and that those people that shared last week, and you know who you are, and you shared your stories of hope, and that prompted somebody else to share their story. So anyway, that's amazing. And thank you for each one that's joined in. And I will turn it over to my hubby as we, or I don't know if you have anything else, Terry, that you wanted to say before we head into our final closing chorus.
So yeah, we're gonna sing our closing song, and then after that, I will do a dismissal. Also, Asha, I would really encourage you, if you can. There's lots of comments in the chat section thanking you for sharing. So please read those, because they'd be an encouragement to you.
Okay, I will. Will do.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Bless the Lord, oh my soul, oh my soul, I worship his holy name. Sing like never before, oh my soul, I'll worship your holy name. I'll worship your holy name. Lord, I'll worship your holy name.
Thank you, Jamie Lee and Sean, for sharing in music with us and leading us in singing there. I greatly appreciate it. Great big thank you to Asha. I didn't know Asha means hope. Very interesting. I can tell you a few things about Asha, a couple things that I know. If you want to see her light up like a Christmas tree, all you need to do is bring her a Tim Hortons coffee. She's always enjoys her Tim Hortons coffee. Another thing about Asha, when you go to her Facebook page, almost every day she has a quote of encouragement, a quote of inspiration every day on her Facebook page, and those quotes often have spoken to me. But think about Asha's story, how a crucifixion, a challenge, a trial, a major scare, how God was able to bring a resurrection from it, how God was able to bring beauty from it, and incredible transformation. When there was no hope, God brought hope. And the fact that she's married to Alex, she has 3 healthy kids, 2 little girls and a little boy, and she has a phenomenal outlook on life. But think about that. That has all come as a result of a crucifixion or a major trial or a major challenge in life. And that's the way God works. He works through those challenges in our life. And as I said at the beginning, he is the Redeemer. He's the Redeemer. He's able to bring incredible story out of things that seem so messy, confusing, challenging, and painful. And so my hope for you this morning is that you will be able to grab onto that and cling to that, regardless of what you're going through. Maybe it's just the pandemic. Maybe it's something else. Maybe it's a divorce. Maybe it's a health crisis. Maybe it's a financial challenge. Maybe it's rebellious children. I'm not sure. Maybe it's a search for that spouse. Maybe it's in regards to a search for a job. Whatever it is, remember that there is always hope, and God is for you, not against you. Amen.